I feel like we need a refreshing on manners, on common courtesies, not only to just like refreshing for everyday things, but also to help us get to our like higher valued women, that part of our life better.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Today we're talking all about manners, common courtesies, also things I need to work on. So we're just gonna exchange. I feel like this is the video where it's those type of tips where I'm still learning, because I'm not from this country. Like, I wasn't born here. So when I came to the US when I was like 8 years old, I had to learn a lot of manners that this country does, you know, the US does, that, you know, my country Ethiopia, they don't do, or we do something else. So some things like in Ethiopia, that's a big thing, is like, you know, respecting your elders. That's such a big thing. But here, I just feel like it's not as much. Like us, we have pronouns where it's only for the elders as respect. But when I came here, you call your elders like her, him, she, like it's just like normal pronouns that you call a kid or a baby. So I had to learn like different things, like this is what you do, it's okay to do this, but it's not okay to do that. So here are some things that like I feel like that it's just common everyday courtesy, just common things to show. And I feel like it's important because this will show respect for yourself, respect for others. I feel like to be a high valued woman, you need to learn manners. You need to respect others, respect yourself. It just comes with it. When people just have respect for themselves and others, it makes them like just higher, okay? So for us to just level up in that area, let's refresh on some manners. Let's get started. Number one is clean up your mess. I feel like this is obvious and something that a lot of people know. It's just like, I feel like out of everything that I'm about to talk about, this is something that a lot of people do, but let me go into detail, okay? So when I say clean up your mess, to clean up your mess is to be responsible and respectful for other space, your space, but mostly to just, you know, like it's you made a mess, so you clean it up. That's basically it. It can also be figuratively, so like if you create a mess, if you did someone else dirty, or if, you know, if it's your fault in an argument or everything, fix it, like make it right. I feel like with, you know, it could be physical mess, but if you caused something, if it's some type of rumor and it wasn't even meant to, you didn't even mean it. Sometimes you do mean it, but the times where you're like, oh, I didn't mean to say it that way, I didn't know she felt this way, and it's just like you on your part hurt someone else, fix it, apologize, own up to it. I mean, I feel like we all make mistakes and that's okay, but once you own up to it, that's when it's like, all right, you know. The last thing I'll say with clean up your mess is when I was at the residential school, they used to always say, leave it better than you found it. So when we went to restaurants, when we went to host homes, like we used to, for choir and like different places, we used to stay at host homes, like for like the night or something like that, they would host us. It's like, leave it better than you found it. The bathroom, the room you stayed at, everything. And we used to like say it as like a joke, like leave it better than you found it. But you know, as you grow older, you start to learn that some of the things that you learned when you were younger, it really starts to make sense. So it's like anytime you go anywhere, I feel like even for me now, I keep that. Restaurants, when I go to different places, churches, house, just anywhere that's not mine, even mine too, but leave it better than you found it. The next thing is saying thank you and please. Just those things. I know that's very common, but for example, when someone's holding the door for you, say thank you. Just something so small. There was just like, I feel like there's this, not pride, but some people are in a hurry. Some people just, they're not used to saying thank you. It almost helps others feel like, thank you for doing what you're doing. Like, I acknowledge that you did this for me, thank you. It could be the word thank you. And I overuse that word now because it's like, to anybody, you don't know what kind of day they're having. A small thank you, please, a smile, eye contact. I've been working on that. I've also mentioned how eye contact is so hard for me. And I feel like for a lot of us, just show appreciation, again, to anyone, especially strangers. And especially if it's a service or they're helping you or anything like that, a small thank you can go so far. Next is walking at a respectful pace. It just gives classy to just be patient. But on another hand, you have to be respectful with different things. Like, I know driving, there's etiquette, there's driving etiquette, there's walking etiquette, everything. Just do it in a pace where you're not behind there beeping at somebody as soon as it turns green, because that's impatient. But another thing is like, you know, also pay attention to lights and everything. You just have to have some type of balance with it, because it can go both ways where people are just being impatient, but also people are not being respectful of others' time or other space, walking, driving, everything like that. Just do things in a respectful pace. The next thing I'll say is returning items to others. If it's not yours or you're borrowing from someone else, return it. This is not mine. I see it in my closet. I need to return it. Especially when I borrow my sister's clothes. Like, I know it's not mine, so I need to return it. My sisters do such a good job at this because when we were younger, we didn't. But as we grew older, we just know, like, this is not mine. I'll wash it and return it. The next thing I had to learn, like even through my college years, is clean up the sink when you're at someone else's place. And I'm not talking about kitchen sink. I'm talking about like bathroom sink. When I was younger, like 2016, I went to my friend's, 2016, I went to Poland and I stayed at my friend's place. And we were running late to the airport to come back here. And so I was like brushing my teeth, washing my face, everything like that. And then once I left, my friend took a picture of the mirror and sent it to me. The water was everywhere. I was like, am I disrespectful? Like, what? So I don't know. Like, I used to just struggle with that. But now I'm very intentional with the sink being done even every day. Like, after brushing my teeth, washing my face, just kind of clean it up. It makes a difference for the next person that comes in to really help me with it. And like what I've been practicing is behind the sink where the knobs of the sink is, there's like the small space between the mirror and that. So, or the wall and that. And in between that, I just get like a clean washcloth and put it right behind there. So when I'm done doing anything, or like guests, my sisters, anybody that comes and just, you know, uses the sink, you can just grab that and just clean it up and put it away. And if the towel or the washcloth gets dirty or anything like that, get a paper towel or toilet paper, something small, and just clean up the sink. It makes such a big difference. It can also go with the, you know, clean up your mess. So it's kind of one, but I just felt like this was important because it was something I had to learn. I had to tell you my experience. The next thing is give full attention when you're talking to somebody.
Put the phone down.
If you need to text, do it later or anything like that, especially if it's an important like conversation, put it down, okay? I read a study that said even if your phone is on the table and you're talking to somebody, the phone just appearing in front of you just makes your focus less when you're talking to somebody. So what I say is like, just put your phone inside the purse. So if you're carrying like a purse or a bag, tote bag, anything like that, just put the phone in there. Especially if you're like going, you know, coffee, lunch, dinner with a friend or anything. I just feel like the phone being there and lighting up with notifications and stuff, yeah, I could see how like the attention is halfway not there. But you just make them feel important. Like you're talking to them, full attention, you're listening to them, venting, or they just need somebody to listen. And if the full attention is not there, it's rude. So let's give our full attention to others. Next is talking with your mouth full or with gum, just smacking it in the middle of talking, especially if you're giving a speech on stage or anything. It just doesn't give that classy behavior. It just doesn't. Especially like talking with your mouth full. Somebody asks you a question in the middle. Chew, swallow. Remember, be patient, slow down with everything. And then answer your question. Don't let others rush you. Even if they're like, oh, I need an answer. Or like, dang, you're taking a long time to chew your food and swallow. Like, take your time, okay? Make sure your mouth is clean for you to speak and answer the words. And then with gum also, I used to be a gum smacker. I used to talk with my mouth full, everything. But I feel like what helped me with that is chewing with my mouth closed. When you do that, you're not able to talk. You're not able to make noise, nothing. So I used to like just intentionally, when I take a bite of my food or somebody's there and we're at dinner with friends and everything, I literally, every day, every meal, I practice chewing with my mouth closed. Also, you don't want the food to be landing on someone's forehead while you're talking. That's just embarrassing, first of all. Second, it just gives that like, again, that not classy behavior where it's just like food everywhere. You're not, you know, wiping in between meals, in between bites and chews and everything. So don't talk with your mouth full. The next thing I'll say is airplane etiquette. I know there's etiquette for every single thing, but airplane is just something extra that I've been just wanting to learn and wanting to talk about. The number one thing is like, don't spray perfumes in airplanes. I feel like that thing is trapped. So once you spray something, especially if it's strong, eau de toilette, eau de perfume, if you spray one of those heavy, strong perfumes, people can get nauseous. Another thing is once we go up in the air, I feel like smells change. People get more nauseous. You don't know people's medical, you don't know people have asthma, anything. So like spraying something in a trapped area like airplane, bus, something where there's no air circulating, like in and out, I just feel like It's rude, kind of. Also, reclining seats and you're the person behind, just like reclining. I feel like that's rude. I say like taking off your shoes and like whole barefoot and just like all of that. I just feel like that's, you know, common courtesy to not do that. But some people are like, hey, it's the plane, like I get to do that. I personally think like I wouldn't do it. Next thing, which is very important, is greeting back. So if somebody's like, hi, how are you? Be like, good. That's what I used to do all the time. But then it's like, I practiced where somebody says like, hi, how are you? I made, I'm good, how are you? One word. So it's like, instead of saying like, I'm good, I'll be like, I'm good, how are you? That's one word. So anytime someone asks me, hi, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Also with greeting back, I would say like not talking over others. That's another common courtesy. Keep your thought until somebody finishes their thought or their sentence or anything. I feel like when you already are thinking of the next thing to say, you're not even listening in a way. So keep that in mind when you're talking to others, when you're greeting others, they're telling you about something. If you're excited to say something, that's the one thing I see with a lot of people. It's like when you're so excited to talk about something, it's kind of like you're talking over, but they're not even done saying what they need to say. So remember, slowing down. I'm gonna keep coming back to it. Slowing down, keeping that thought until that person's done with what they're saying, then say what you need to say. But also engaging in conversation. So it's like somebody asks you something, answer, ask them something back. That's engaging. So instead of just like one word or an answer, nothing, like it just shows that like you don't really care to be in that conversation. And the last thing I'll say is waiting on people, and not like as in they're late all the time. And also if you are late, try to like learn to say, oh, I'm sorry that I'm late. Like don't just come late and just pass it by where you're like, oh, it's okay. Other people are late, so it doesn't matter. Even if others are late and you come late too, just mention it. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. This is why I was late. Or I'm sorry, like I started something. Just acknowledge that their time. But when I say waiting for people, I'm talking about like if two people are walking or a group of people are walking and somebody stops to tie their shoes, wait for them. I feel like that's like a gesture where it's like, okay, like I'll wait for you. I see you. I don't want you to be left behind. Also, another thing I'll say is like waiting for people to get their food before getting your seconds, or waiting for people to get their food in a restaurant before eating. I feel like that's something I've practiced, and I will wait for people even if their food takes 20 minutes and mine gets cold. I feel like just going in with the food, it's just not like the reason why people gather, the reason why people went to dinner together. It's to sit and eat together. But yeah, when I say wait for people, it's not like they're disrespecting your time, so you have to wait for them. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because remember, boundaries, we need that in our time with what we want to do. Just everything that we do, we just don't want people to press it or cross our boundaries. And if you don't have it already, just like create boundaries for something that has been happening over and over and over, either with friends, with yourself, with like boyfriend, girlfriend, something that's just like keeps happening over and over and over. Boundaries. That's one thing. So like with manners, with common courtesy, we need boundaries. We need self-awareness. We need respect for others, respect for ourselves. And I know there's bajillions, so many, 50 lim manners and common courtesies that we can learn. So let me know in the comments down below what you think people should know or be refreshed, especially like if you're older than me or in a different generation than me that, you know, a lot of people lost in this generation. Let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to know and read some, because these are some things that we can practice every single day, whether it's habit stacking or anything that can just help us level up, be that high valued woman. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully these helped you and refreshed some of the manners that we need to learn. This was for me too. I just thought of this because I was like, you know, taking care of your hygiene and outer appearance, it's so important, but it's really inside. Some things that we need to balance, build different habits, learn manners. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that. So I had to just write this down, ask my friends, family, everyone, and I want to see yours. So let me know the tips and common courtesy tips that you have for me. Thank you so much for watching, and come again.